Welcome to this lecture about the dynasties in Islamic history. Today's topic is based on my book Ask Your Muslim Friend, which is found under the main heading, first, Islamic teaching, secondly, the subheading 1.1, the history of Islam, and then 1.14, the dynasties. I suggest that you read pages 26 to 28 before watching this video. These page numbers refer to the English version of my book. If you have another translation, the page numbers are most likely different. The questions we are going to discuss now are: in which area of the world did Islam spread during these periods? It is obvious that the Muslims spread into new lands. Was this advance peaceful or militant? Why did the Christians during these periods engage in the so-called Crusades? How did the Crusades affect the future relationship between Christians and Muslims? Please note that in this lecture I just give you a basic understanding of this historical period, from 661 until about 1258 AD. It is essential to have some insights concerning the historical periods of this time. The first dynasty, which started after the period of the four caliphs, is called the Umayyad dynasty. The Umayyads descended from Umayyah and were a clan separate from Muhammad's in the Quraysh tribe. Some important features of this dynasty are as follows. It lasted for about 89 years, from 661 to 750 AD. The sole ruler's name was Muawiyah, and he founded the dynasty. The center from which he ruled was Damascus. Through military conquest, the Islamic dynasty gains enormous territorial growth. During 711 AD, the Islamic army crossed over from North Africa to Spain and conquered almost of the Iberian Peninsula. The Islamic army was only stopped at Poitiers in France. Charles Martel led the French army in 732 AD. You can clearly see what huge lands and cities the Islamic army conquered during this period. You may find this chart in my book on page 27. The following questions may be discussed in your group. First, why did the Muslims endeavor to engage in military action to conquer new lands outside Arabia? Secondly, why was the Islamic army so successful in conquering large areas during these times? And thirdly, why did the Umayyads choose Damascus as their center? What happened with the Byzantine Empire at that time? The Abbasid dynasty was the second significant period, lasting 508 years, for about 750 until 1258 AD. It replaced the Umayyad dynasty and had its center in Baghdad. Some features of the Abbasid dynasty were: the Abbasid caliphs based their claim to the caliphate on their descent from Abbas ibn Abd al-Muttalib. He is an uncle of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. The leaders created an army loyal only to their own caliphs. The soldiers were mostly Turkish slaves, known as Mamluks. The 9th century has also been called the elaboration of Islam in respect to discipline of study within and Islamic context. Two important achievements were that of the Muslim scholars al-Shafi in the field of Sharia, Islamic law, and of al-Kindi in the field of falsafi, which is Islamic philosophy. During 850 AD, the Abbasid Caliph of al-Mutawakkil passed new lands to clarify that Jews and Christians were to be seen as second-class citizens within the Islamic world. In 1258 AD, the Mongol army raided Baghdad and killed about 800,000 people. This resulted in the destruction of the Abbasid dynasty. The Fatimid dynasty must also be mentioned since it played a significant role during this period. It dominated North Africa and the Middle East from 909 to 1171 AD. The name originated in Fatima, who was the daughter of Muhammad. The Fatimid leaders tried unsuccessfully to replace the Abbasid caliphs as leaders of the Islamic world. The Abbasid caliphs were of the Sunni branch of Islam, whereas the Fatimid caliphs were of rival religious movement, the Ismaili sect of the Shia branch of Islam. Thus, the Fatimid caliphs tried to promote Shia Islam and endeavored to establish Cairo as a cultural and intellectual center. Questions for discussions are: first, why was the new Islamic center no longer in Damascus but in Baghdad? Secondly, what do we know of the struggle between the Abbasid and the Fatimid dynasties, which means Sunni against Shia Muslims? And thirdly, what are some of the laws which made Jews and Christians second-class citizens? Fourthly, what is the difference between the Umayyad and the Abbasid dynasty? Next question, why were the Mongols successful in conquering Baghdad and thus the Abbasid dynasty came to an end? During this period of the Abbasid dynasty also followed the so-called Crusades. The Crusades were a series of military conflicts of a religious character which occurred from 1095 to 1291 AD. It was mainly the Pope who sanctioned these military actions in the name of Christianity. The original goal was to recapture and liberate Jerusalem and its land from Muslim dominion. In addition, it was also a call from the Eastern Orthodox Byzantine Empire for help against the expansion of the Muslims into Anatolia. Thus, Christian armies were formed who went from Europe to Jerusalem to engage in battles. It was a very tragic period since many people were killed during these battles. Let us consider some remarks and stories concerning the Crusades. In discussion with Muslim people, the topic of the Crusades comes often up. Many Muslims accuse Christians of killing Muslims, people by the sword. The topic of the Crusades is one of the reasons why some Muslims reject the Christian faith. Muslims also claim that Christianity cannot be a religion of peace since Christians actively killed Muslims. Other Muslims state that the Christians were the aggressors and Muslims' army only defended itself during these periods. How can Christians respond to such arguments? The following can be said. First, the Crusades were indeed a sad chapter in the history of Christianity. Christians need to acknowledge this mistake. The Pope and the Christian leaders misinterpreted the Bible. God surely does not want us to kill other people. Thirdly, on the other hand, if Muslims claim that they have only defended themselves and their territory, why is it that they went to a new land, conquered new areas and killed people there? What do Muslims from Arabia have to defend in Spain? It is clear from historical reports that Muslim armies did much harm to people of other religions. Much has been written on this crusade period. Please consult the internet, such as Wikipedia and relevant books. Questions for discussions concerning the Crusades. Did the Pope really have the authority to call on a holy war to liberate Jerusalem from the Muslim dominion? Secondly, do religious people have the right to engage in war and claim that God or Allah commissions them to do so? Thirdly, what other ways than going to war with each other could there be to solve such conflicts? And further, how did these crusades affect the future relationship between Christians and Muslims? In summary, Islamic dynasties have played a significant role in shaping the history of Islam and the Islamic world. They have contributed to the expansion of the Islamic empire, the development of Islamic art, culture and intellectual life, and the promotion of Islamic values and beliefs. I pray that this is helpful information. You find more information in my book, Ask Your Muslim Friend. See you again soon. Good day and God bless you.